Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Gospel Hour with David. Glory be to God, Jesus Christ is alive. Today I want to go over chapter 16 of the book of Judges as we are speaking about Samson and Delilah. And basically the message is wrapped around a lie will not hurt you. But the truth can be deadly. It can be deadly. In our lives, we're going to come across and meet a lot of different people in life. Some of those people, today we have a scientific term called narcissist or narcissism. And there's a lot of people who are narcissistic. And I'm not saying that's a bad term or a bad thing, but it's a thing that people have developed over their lives through a life of abuse as a way to protect them. It is like a boundary wall that they have put up, and that's what they use to protect themselves. Other people's opinions. Delilah has a spirit of narcissism. Samson may share a little bit of that narcissistic spirit as well. Jezebel is a different kind of narcissistic spirit, but it's still all the same thing. They seek the destruction of their enemies. So the whole story of Samson is a story of abuse. And if this is the first time you've watched or listened to any of my messages, you'll find there's a common theme. How do we overcome abuse? And in the Bible, there's a lot of teachings and instructions that could correct us, rebuke us, teach us in the training of righteousness. To teach us how to deal with abusive people. Now, in the Bible, it doesn't have the word narcissist, but it does talk about vanity. And vanity really lines up in that narcissistic category. And maybe your spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, somebody that you're dating, a co-worker, a friend, whoever it may have the characteristics of a person filled with vanity. Self-love. But not just self-love, but a love so great of themselves that nobody else matters. And the reason they care about everybody else's opinion because it boasts up their self, their pride. So it's all about boasting and bragging and things like that. But in our lives, lies don't hurt you. The truth does. And a person filled with a narcissistic personality or vanity or the spirit of Delilah, they have a goal in mind and they know what they're doing. That's the thing we see about Delilah. These people know exactly what they're doing. And their whole intent is to abuse you, to hurt you, to break you down, and ultimately destroy you, to tear you away from God. Now, chapter 16 says, Samson went to Gaza, and there he saw a prostitute, and he went into her. Then the Gazites were told, Samson has come here. And they surrounded the place and set an ambush for him at night. At the gate of the city they kept quiet all night, saying, let us wait till the light of the morning. Then we will kill him. But Samson lay till midnight. And at midnight he arose and took hold of the doors of the gates of the city and the two posts and pulled them up, bar and all, put them on his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that is in front of Hebron. Samson seeking revenge. Instead of love your enemy, and Samson is as a Nazarite, right? Takes on, and it's not Samson didn't take on the Nazarite vow. His mother placed him under the Nazarite vow by offering him to God as a Nazarite. And God said, I'll accept him, but no razor will touch his hair. He'll never eat grapes, of any kind of grapes, seed or husk. No grape juice, no wine, no alcohol. So Samson's pretty much alcohol free. A lot of Christian people, the first thing they ask you when you tell them you're saved, right? Well, do you drink alcohol? The first thing they go for is, do you still drink alcohol? I don't know why, but they feel that that defines what a Christian is. They don't drink, they don't cuss, they don't swear. But that's not what defines a Christian. Honesty defines a Christian. If I said I'm never going to drink, I'm never going to swear, I'm never going to cuss, I'm not being honest with myself. And I'm setting myself for failure. I'm a sinner, and when I'm put in a tough situation, I'm going to sin. And that's what it says. This is exactly what you're going to do, because that's the nature of who you are. That's what you know, especially when you're grown up and lived your life inside of abusive family or abusive place. All you know is how to protect yourself, and you find a way to do it through what you've learned, what you know. Abuse of some sort. Samson waits for them to fall asleep and pulls one over on them. And they're all mad. Everybody's mad at Samson at this point. Caused a lot of trouble and heartache, both for Israel and his enemies. He finds a prostitute. It's amazing that, in the book of Hosea, God says to Hosea, when the word of the Lord came to Hosea, he said, go and marry a prostitute. Samson comes and falls in love with the prostitute. Go to the book of Revelation and it explains the bride of Christ as being likened to a prostitute. A prostitute. In fact, in the book of Revelation, when it explains the bride of Christ and God and God's relationship with that bride and how he's going to take her out into the wilderness and then woo her and heal her and talk gentle to her, well, all that's kind of seen there in the book of Hosea. Now here, Samson fully loved Delilah. With all of his heart, he loved her. She didn't necessarily love Samson. Because somebody who loves you, that person is not going to hurt you. That person's not going to abuse you. That person's going to do everything they can to protect you, whether it's male or female. Protect your pride, protect your sanity, protect your salvation, your good name. People who don't love you are going to seek for a way to hurt you. And they know a lie cannot hurt you. Verse 4 says, after this he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, seduce him, and see what his great strength where his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him, that we may bind him to humble him. And we will each give you 1,100 pieces of silver. So Delilah said to Samson, please tell me where your great strength lies and how you might be bound that one could seduce you. Seduction is a form of control, so that I could have control over you. Your strength, your power, your well-being. Samson, what's the first thing he does? Tells a lie. Oh, did you wrap me up with these cords or whatever it is? Use brand new string that's never been used, and there I'll lose all my strength. And sure enough, she goes right in and begins to tie him up. And then says, look, the Philistines are here. He rips out of the cords the next time, or next morning, and kills the Philistines. 3 times he lies to her, and she's really upset and mad that he won't tell her the truth. And all the time she's seeking for truth for one purpose: to destroy him, to hurt him. Narcissistic people. I've dealt with this in my own life. Narcissistic people want to know everything about your life and everything you've done wrong in life, because really what they want to do is prove to you you're bad just like they are. You're a bad person just like they are. You could look at this story in many different ways. Alcoholism and being a drug addict or addiction of any kind can be seen the same way. What is the enemy seeking for? The truth that hurts you. PTSD are memories of true experiences that violated you. They use those things in order to trigger you into a place of great anger and anguish. And there you lash out in anger. That's what they want. They want to hurt you. They want to prove to everybody around that you're just like they are. And they know they're bad people and they're seeking to hurt you. And that's all they want. You know, I've told people whom I loved with all my heart. And that person turned all the things that they could find and use that was truth about your life as a weapon to destroy you. And in their destruction of your character, your name, and your integrity, they tell everybody, see, it's not a child of God. That's not a Christian. That's an alcoholic. No, that's not a child of God. That's a drug addict. No. That's using those things against you. Now, in all of it, what do we do? Because that's what we're trying to find. The teachings and the righteousness of how to act and how to behave when we're confronted by a narcissistic person. Or a person like Delilah. They make it very clear and very known to you that, hey, I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know what you're thinking about when you're sad, when you're upset. And so they can use it against you. That's their only goal. How many people are stuck and lost in debate after debate after debate, talking to atheists, and all they want to do is expose the ignorance or the sin of the atheists, while the atheists, all they want to do is prove to you you're just like them. And it's crazy. It's silly to think you're going to win that battle of war or that war of words. Finally, Samson tells her, as a Nazarite from birth, separated from all the rest for God's purpose, God's will. And we see Samson, outside of drinking and alcohol, is kind of very abusive, very hot-tempered, and it's always seeking revenge. And if we could just stay away from these things. So what do we see? What are we learning from Samson? If we seek revenge against a narcissistic people, we're going to end up hurting ourselves. Because the truth hurts, and that's their weapon of war. Any truth or smut they got against you. And that's going to hurt you. To the point your eyes could be gouged out. Your connection between you and God could be taken away, right? That's what they were hoping for. Yet we see with Samson, that never happened. Couldn't take away his connection from God. In fact, everything about Samson is dependent on Samson's faith. Not his actions, not what he's doing right or wrong, but his faith. That no matter where he was, no matter what he was going through, whether his eyes were gouged out, everybody was around making fun of him, making him out to be the clown of their fun, parties, and rejoicing. What do we do with that? What's going to happen? Avoid revenge. Right? The fornicating. And Samson's fully in love with Delilah, yet they're not married. And that's what fornicating, right? Loving or having sex with someone outside of marriage. Marriage isn't deciphered by a piece of paper. Marriage comes from within one's own heart. The goodness that's stored up in that heart. The love for another person. I'm willing to love you as though you were my body. My body. So when you use words of abuse and hurt and use these things and experiences and memories as a trigger, as a weapon, that's not love. And we got to decide in our heart and our mind, am I willing to continue in the lie? Because the lie don't hurt me. What is the lie? Believing they love you. That doesn't hurt me, that they say they love me. What hurts me is the action behind their deeds, their abuse. That hurts me. And it's the truth that hurts me. This is the truth. We are all sinners lost in sin. And we're going to sin, we're going to lash out, we're going to get angry. And this is what it's called being honest with ourselves. So how do we avoid getting angry? How do we avoid getting upset? Recognizing that when these people come into your lives, they have a purpose, they have a goal. And it's not to love you. It's not to love you, but it's to hurt you. And before your eyes get ripped out, before your hair is cut off and you've been made into a fool, gotta walk away. Gotta walk away. You gotta be able to have the strength and the power of the living God to believe in your own self-love, not built upon boasting and bragging in other people's opinions, but on the love God has given to you. Samson doesn't give up on God, and God doesn't give up on Samson. It's not determined by works, but determined by God who chose you, who accepted you. And that's where our love has come from. That's where our self-esteem has come from. That's where our ground or foundation has to come from. It's God alone. Samson doesn't have a friend in the world. He's just a clown. And they bring him up and they don't even take notice to the fact that his hair is growing back. His connection with God is growing stronger and stronger as he's locked in prison. Sometimes God separates us from the rest of the people. I know in my own life, I feel like I'm in prison. No longer a part of the world or the part of those things, but only so I could be with God. I could talk to God. I could listen to God. And then hopefully come up with some explanation for why we're so willing to be abused. I mean, Samson, it's like, she's telling him, tell me the truth so I can seduce you, so I can have power over you, so I can have control over you, so I can ultimately destroy you. And Samson, doesn't want to believe it. See, the lie won't hurt you. The truth will. The truth will. When Bill Cosby was raping and drugging women over that 20, 40-year period of time, the lie wasn't hurting him. I never did that. I don't even know these people. In fact, I'm willing to pay these people undercover lots of money to keep them quiet. Why? Because the truth will destroy you. The truth can be deadly. And that's what nobody wants anybody else to know, is the truth. Why Are we lost in social media and thinking that a fake identity, a fake name, a fake profile is, what is that? A lie? Come in the form of deception, in the form of a lie. Why? Because it's protection. Lie won't hurt you. The truth will hurt you. I don't really want anybody to know who I really am. If I lash out in anger and hatred and revenge and mad and cursing, because that's what we do. Let's be honest, that's what we're going to do. When we're confronted by abusive behavior, we return exactly what they give. And I can go start up a new account. Start over. Yeah, I had an argument with that person, but I can start over. New account, new fake name, new fake identity. Why? Because a lie cannot hurt you. But the truth can be deadly. And that's what we're all trying to avoid, the truth. If we're going to be honest that Jesus Christ is our Savior, we've got to be honest about the sin. It's not that I'm going to turn my life to Jesus and stop sinning. That's a lie. That's a lie. But by putting the teachings and instructions of Jesus to practice, I have tools and an ability to confront sin with wisdom. An ability to choose a better path. The difference between knowing right from wrong and choosing what is right. You came to win an argument against a narcissist. They're always right. They're never wrong. And they have one goal: to break you down, to beat you down, so that they may have control over you. So they may stand high while you are beat down low. You're worthless. The only thing that matters to them is your opinion. And what is the opinion they want from you? To agree with them. It's about control. And who has control over your life? Everybody wanted to control Samson and have control over Samson's behavior and what he was doing. Yet he was a wild, free man. And only God had control over Samson's life. It's amazing that in Samson's death, he takes out the pillars of the Philistines' palace and kills more Philistines than while he was alive. And somewhere people say God was seeking revenge for his people Israel. And he was wiping out the uncircumcised Philistines. Because they sought to humble him, prove to him, you're just like us. So that's the thing I want you to recognize and remember. In life, in these stories in the Bible, it's not just a story about Samson, some guy with superhuman power or strength. It's a story about a man who has fully devoted his life to God, yet still lived in a life filled with abuse. And none of that was taken away from him. The abuse. Only God placed himself inside of Samson's life, in Samson's presence. And that's the only thing that protected Samson from the abuse. It's better to die than to live under those types of conditions. Sometimes it's better to walk away from an abusive relationship. What if my greatest relationship is with alcohol and drugs? Now, those things only are seeking to destroy you, to hurt you, break you down. That's all they're doing. And maybe we love those things. But if we could walk away, The death of Samson killed all the Philistines. All his problems went away. And he was restored right to God. If you go through the Nazarite vow and you see if the Nazarite becomes unholy or does something bad, his head must be shaven and all these things must be done. And yet Samson, not seeking an atonement from sins, from the death of animals and goats and sheep, but it came in his death. For there's one death once and for all people. And that's why Jesus died, to be Lord over the dead and the living. And we don't want to break faith. Keep your faith. Understand and know you're loved by God, you're cherished by God, and chosen by God. And nobody else's opinions or abusive behavior can take that away from you. It can't take it away. And God could endow you with the strength to walk away. If you ask Him for it. If you trust Him in it. Because walking away from abuse sometimes is more difficult than staying in it. That's all I got today. I'm going out of town. Pray for me and my well-being. I'll be back in a couple weeks. Thank you, and God bless you. See you next time.